Hey, it's Tess. I wanted to go live tonight, and I am still working out of this book called U Squared, and it's talking about quantum leaps. And what I've kind of been noticing about this idea of quantum leaps, I don't care what you call them. I think it's just really an opportunity to take steps and take bigger steps than what we've always taken. There's a lot of different theories, like there's the 10x theory, which means why go 2 times bigger when you can go 10 times bigger? And I think kind of that's the same idea behind this quantum leap. Take steps, take them bigger, take them faster, and adjust quicker. So you just want to keep moving and move faster, make adjustments, and just keep going. And I thought it was kind of interesting because today I've been working on reworking or adjusting my keynote speech. I worked with Dan Clark, a professional speaker, a couple of years ago, but now that I'm an author and I'm a life insurance agent and I'm a student of the IBC Practitioners Program, I've got new things that I need to incorporate into that speech. And I wanted to shift it a little bit because when I originally wrote it, I was not working with the Money School crew. I was 100% behind everything they did, but I wasn't working with them and wasn't working to try to educate clients. So there's a different approach. I just kind of did an approach as if almost back to the idea of this book that I wrote and released in February. It was the idea of my weight loss journey and the mindset issues that I learned. Well, part of that journey was also in learning that mindset, the tools I use apply to all areas of my life, whether it is the weight loss journey, the leaving the entrepreneurial world, leaving the W-2 world, joining the entrepreneurial world, getting my life license, any of those things. I had to change my mindset. I had to change the words that I was using inside my head because they were blocking me. So I had to do some big thought changes because anyone who's listened to me has probably heard that for a period of time when I was younger, there were things that were said, right or wrong. That's not the debate, but it was, you should be seen and not heard. Stay under the radar. Don't let people notice you. And I kind of did fall into that. I tried really hard to obey the rules, even if they didn't feel good. And now I'm kind of like, I can't do that anymore. I have to move forward in a way that I feel like I'm doing what I was called here to do. What is my gut, my heart, and my mind when I meditate say that I should be doing? What is it that I feel like God put me here to do? And it wasn't the life that I was living before, so I've had to make changes. And I'll be honest, it's tough, it's difficult, but I enjoy it. I'm not going to tell you it wasn't without struggles to get that book out. It was, but I'm so grateful to be on this side of it, that I'm a life license, that I left the W-2 world, that I'm rewriting my speech. And when I sit down and I look at it, I'm going, it was 2 years ago that I was writing this speech. 2 years ago at this time I was writing it. But in that time, I've written a book. I've become a life insurance agent. I've also studied the IBC Practitioners Program, and I could pass that exam, except that I'm going to wait to sit for it till I'm writing more business because it does have a hefty fee every year to keep it current. And I want more policies before I do that. But it made me say that I had to look at things differently. I just this past week, part of being a life agent and being part of this educational system to help people to understand the infinite banking process, becoming your own bank, taking back financial control of your life. If you want to learn more, please reach out. I'd be happy to teach you. But in doing that, I had to stretch boundaries. I had to look at things differently. I had to evaluate what I once thought I knew, and I had to look at things differently. But what it made me think about is this past week, or 2 weeks now actually, I've been putting a lot of time into getting my appointments to insurance companies, because there are 3 of them now that I'm either appointed to or it's in the works of being appointed. And then I went to the next step of what states do you have to be pre-approved in and what states require fingerprinting. So I'm getting through that process. I just need 1 hard copy fingerprint and I'll have all that done. So that'll have me licensed in about 10 states, which means all the rest of them are fairly easy to get. But I was working on all this, and why do I bring this up? Because I was working on one of the insurance companies had so much training. And the training was New York specific training and it was Michigan specific training. And both of them, it's kind of funny, I had to take training on both sides and it was very similar training, but it was like these programs, and there were, I mean, every time I opened one, there were 30 more sections and then 30 more sections. And then I'd get to the Michigan side and it was the same kind of training, but 30 more sections and 30 more sections. And it felt like it was never going to end. And I got to the end of all the training one day and I'm like, my pattern is I like to take tests in the morning. I like to get up fresh and I like to take tests. But this one particular appointment, there was so much training in it. I was kind of fed up to here with it. And I'm like, screw it. If I can pass this exam tonight, it's done. I just want this done. So normally I would never do that because I have this thing where I like to test in the 90% when I take exams. That's just my thing, and that's what I've always done. And I wanted to wake up fresh and review and then take it. And I'm like, no, I need to move faster. This is taking me too long. I just have to sit it. And I sat and I passed it. I didn't hit 90%, but I passed it. So that's all I needed to do. And I thought, that's why I have to move faster. That is my old habits that kind of block me from moving forward. So as I digress, the failure wasn't that I didn't hit the 90%. The failure would have been if I hadn't taken the exam that night. Because what I need to do is start moving quicker, not being caught up and taking more time on things that I probably don't necessarily need. So it says seek failure. U squared about quantum leaps, whether you want to call them quantum leaps or 10x or 50x, whatever you want to call it. The idea is that quantum leaps, or 10xing, demands a willingness to make mistakes. And for me, it wasn't a mistake. I still passed the exam, but I have this little hang up that I like to score in a certain range. But there are going to be times now that I just really want to move forward more. You cannot hole up in the safe zone of behavior where you have beaten the odds of failing. Because if you've beaten the odds of failing, you haven't moved forward. You've become stuck. An unwillingness to encounter defeat or to run into problems outlaws quantum leaps. It slows down your progress. It makes getting ahead harder and more difficult. We need to test the limits. We need to see what we can push forward through. We need to see what next steps are available. I often talk about, I used to put together these crazy plans, lots of steps, and then it never dawned on me that by the time I got to the third or the fourth step, it would be derailed because the plan was already outdated. And I think that's where I had to learn that I needed to be more nimble, more agile. I had to say, okay, let's look at 3 to 5 steps ahead, but not 50 steps ahead, just a couple, just keep enough to keep you going. It's almost like mentors. They say you don't need a mentor that knows every single thing, but you need a mentor that is about 5 to 10 steps ahead of you. So that's what I need to do when I'm doing educating and learning. I need to be getting so many steps ahead. Well, hello, I see someone saying hello to me. Hello, thank you for being here. I see a few others on, I just don't know who it is, so thank you for being here. But it is that idea, quantum leap or 10xing is about knowing that there's going to be failure, there's going to be stumbles, but you just keep pushing forward. You must realize if you're experiencing no difficulties or problems or pain, you probably aim too low. And I know that's hard because I've talked to people recently who are experiencing a lot of pain, and it kind of talks about the idea that when you're in that point of where it feels like a struggle and it feels like you can't get ahead, you're almost on that edge of a breakthrough, and that breakthrough will take you to the next level. And I thought that was pretty amazing and impressive. So remember, failure is a resource. It helps you find the edge of your capacities. And I'm going to share a Napoleon Hill quote that I found when I was looking at this and reading about it. Napoleon Hill talks about most great people have attained their greatest success just one step beyond their greatest failure. And that often makes me think about the book with Greg Reed and Sharon Lechter called 3 Feet from Gold. You don't want to be that person that you're 3 steps or 3 feet away from gold and you walk away and you quit because the next person comes along and they only have to put in a couple of feet and they hit what you worked years, hours, months to try to get to. So I think that was an important one to know, and that was Napoleon Hill. And it's basically that idea. Most people succeed just beyond their greatest failure. So we just have to keep pushing forward. It also talks about be prepared for the possibility of confusion, anxiety, and failure. That's part of the process. And the idea is, it works better for me to look at the idea of failure as learning. If you can change that word and make it learning, it just works a lot better that way. Everything looks like a failure in the middle. It's that muddy middle. I talk about that with my accountability partner all the time because her and I are both in the muddy middle. But you know, there's something about when you're making steps forward or making progress. Like today, I didn't get everything done I wanted to do, but as far as I could get, my appointments in the 3 insurance companies are done. I've got all my pre-approval states done. I've got my fingerprinting done for the ones that I could get done. And then the one hard copy, I'll get that done as soon as I hear back from the people that have to do it. But I just kept moving forward. I worked on my, speech today and just made the changes, like I said, because in the past 2 years, I've become an author, I've become a life agent, and I've become an IBC practitioner. So I've been working all those things forward, and that's a beautiful tool that has allowed me to continue to move forward. It says, the struggle gives you the strength. Soreness is involved in helping you to make developments. So it's all about that messy middle. And we talk about, like my accountability partner and I talk about that all the time, the messy middle. We're always struggling to push forward. Instead of taking the evidence of as a failure, look at it as that opportunity for growth and improvement. And I think that's so important for all of us because I think we too often stop 3 feet from gold, or we stop before we've achieved things, or even for myself. And I often say my book that I released earlier in early February, why did I get to print? Because I wrote it the first time 2 years ago. And then I was at an event, a Chris Nagel event in November, and his marketing guru pulled me off the side and said, what happened to your book? And I'm like, it's still sitting? And he challenged me to get it released. So I know I had to do the work, but he did the challenge and I followed through on it after he challenged me. So I did a dedication to him in the book because he pushed me and I made it happen. But I'll tell you, it feels good to be on this side of it. And I think that's what we all have to do. And for me, working on my speech today, it made me feel good when I realized that I really have like some things that have happened in the past couple of years that warrant making changes. I am an author. I should say that. I am a life agent. I should say that. I am working to be an IBC practitioner. I could pass the exam right now, and that is something I need to include in that. These are all 3 major things that I've accomplished in the past 2 years, and that's just a few of the things. There are other things. And I think for all of us, we have to recognize that if we don't keep moving forward, if we don't overcome the failure, if we don't overcome the messy, muddy middle, we're never going to achieve the things we want. I went through a really rough period with some medical stuff, and I say I've had more life in the past 5 to 10 years than I had in the years prior to that due to some stuff that was going on. And I won't turn back. I always say that the Grim Reaper is going to be huffing and puffing 50 miles back, and I'm going to be running like mad, hitting every possible thing that I can, sliding into home plate with God giving me a high five saying nicely done. Because when you get this opportunity, you want to utilize it. Will it get messy in the middle? It absolutely will. But the messy middle leads to some beautiful, beautiful meadows and gardens and nature scenes, because obviously I like nature scenes, or water, or anything like that, anything that's true to nature I love. But all of that stuff will lead you to some things that you've never seen before. You've got to stretch what you know to get further than where you're at. So you really want to keep pushing. As I end this, I do want to say another quote, and this one was by Ariana Huffington, and she said, understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the success. And that is something I had to learn, because for many years of my life, I sought to be under the radar. And it's not that I need 15 minutes as fame. That's not the kind of person I am. But if I can be part of helping other people, and in essence, helping myself as I do it, that to me is the greatest gift. I love that there's an event I'll be going to fairly soon that I've had about Every day I hear from somebody else who's going to be attending the event. And some of them, it was that they were reaching out to me the first time they were attending because they knew I'd be in attendance and that I would look for them and kind of bring them into the fold a little bit. And I think that's what it is. Sometimes the best gifts you can give are what you share with the other people. Sometimes it'll be messy, but the outcome, when you start to see that your life changes and the lives of those around you change, it's unbeatable. It is the best gift that you can give yourself or to those that are in your life. So thank you guys for being here. Remember, failures are just an opportunity to learn. You don't want to stop 3 feet from gold. You want to keep pushing. And then maybe sometimes like today when I was working on my keynote speech, I went back and looked at it and realized that in 2 short years, I've got 3 big things that I've accomplished that I need to incorporate in. I think sometimes we do something and we walk away and we never realize what we accomplished. And every once in a while, we're in that messy middle and it feels like nothing is moving forward. Take a look back, because I feel a lot better about being stuck in the messy middle when I can see that I have made progress. And if I can be looking back in 3 years and see some progress like I've seen in the past couple of years, it'll be worth it, because there'll be lives changed from the things that I've learned that I can share with all of you. So again, for those that are, if you want to learn more about the infinite banking concept and the ability to take back financial control of your life, please send me a DM and we can talk. And then anyone else, my book is out there. But for all of you, thank you for listening. It's been probably 4 years now that I've been going live. I'm probably close to 2,000 videos between mine and Doc V's. So I just want to thank you all for your support and encouragement and sticking behind me for all these years. So thank you. Have a beautiful night and we'll talk tomorrow.